Entrepreneurs, we back with another Make It Count podcast. In this episode, we have Frosty FLAVA magazine brought to you by All Like Minds Media, actual community leaders here at Asylum Studios. And we have Frosty FLAVA here.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, guys. How are you?
So, like I was explaining to you, the whole thing about the Make It Count podcast is all about dropping gems on young entrepreneurs and people that's actually trying to get started in your business or in something that you're trying to do.
Okay.
So I know that right now you're the leader for entertainment. You're an advocate for the unheard of, the underground person. But you know, I want to give you a story. Tell people a little bit about yourself.
Well, I mean, media is what I do. I live, breathe, everything media. I like it because it's a platform. It gives you an opportunity to build a platform to put other people on, and I love to put other people on. I started off back in 1996 as a radio personality on Haitian radio. I was on for about 9.5 years, and in the midst of me being on radio, I started to think to myself, is this it? There has to be something bigger and something better than this. So light bulb went off, and I felt cornered. I felt like if this is it, then there's nothing left. So I decided I wanted to start off something that would be more me, because once you leave radio, you have to leave everything there. Your clients can't come with you. So I wanted to build something lucrative for myself and that other people around me can benefit from. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do was have my own magazine. Of course, I didn't have the knowledge and everything else, but it was something that I was determined to do. And I just started working on it, started doing my homework, and just coming up with different strategies on how to do it, how to make it better, best. And then, and since Essence was my favorite magazine, I kind of trailed along with Essence. I would constantly read Essence. Suzanne Taylor was a major influence on me, and I just I had to strategize what was going on in the community, what the community needed the most. And I had a lot of friends who were artists and poets and doing different things and didn't have an avenue to promote themselves or whatever. Yeah. And that's how we kind of started.
Because I find like, because I do marketing as well.
Yeah. And
I find like, a lot of local artists find it's hard to get themselves out there, to get noticed and things like that. But I want to talk about you starting in '96 because, back then paper magazines was popular. So what gave you the motivation to actually compete with some of the Miami Herald, the Miami Times, and all of those magazines and newspapers that was coming out during that time?
Actually, I don't ever think that it was a competitive thing. I think that it was just something that I was really determined to do. When you talk about competition, you talk about already being out there and being able to challenge someone who's been out there. I don't think for me I've ever looked at it as a competition. It was just about determination. Like, I want to do this. So I set goals for myself. I've also gone as far as I used to work for Trader Publishing. Okay. I worked for them for about 8-9 years because I wanted to go, and I've worked for the Miami Herald and the Sun Sentinel doing sales. But the thing for me that was most important is trying to establish this publication. I knew nothing about publication. I was in school for journalism. So it was just kind of like, I want to do this, but what's the best way to go about it? Okay. And the best way you go about it is by getting education. So I went to go work for companies so I can find out the ins and the outs and how a magazine is published, what's required, and what you need to do. And that was for me. That's not for everybody else, because everybody want to win now.
Yeah. But so I was just going to say, so it's safe to say that it's actually, you took the steps to learn the business first before you actually got into it.
Yeah, but that's because I knew nothing. I was ignorant to the whole thing. I just knew what I wanted.
So would you say that would be something that you would suggest that all entrepreneurs do? Like, especially try to get into the business first, or publication, learning how a magazine is rolled out, how they write certain articles and things like that?
Absolutely.
So you learned all of that working at these positions, or?
Well, I started off in sales. I've done a lot of sales, customer service. But the key thing about working as a salesperson for a publication like Trader Publication, Trader has so many different. It's a Cox Media group too. So they have Auto Trader, they have all different types of publications. They have, and once you work in that sector, you're selling ads. You learn the niche of it from being able to sell the ad, so you know how to generate the money, in essence, to developing the product.
That's smart, because a lot of people, instead of taking that route, a lot of people would want to be more of the writer or the artist of the the cover art, instead of taking the sales part, the customer service part.
But the thing about it is, you have something lucrative. How are you going to make money to sustain it?
That's true.
So the thing is, if you don't know the sales aspect of it, and I think that's where everybody should start. If you don't have a tangible product to sell, how are you going to bring in the income? For me, it's sales and strategy. Okay. You can always you do marketing. I can always solicit you to write an article for me on marketing. My daughter's a fashion designer. She can always write me a fashion. So you have that. Fashion designer she too. Is pretty hot. But the thing about it is, if you don't have the ability to sell to the general public, who's gonna buy into what it is you can sit behind a computer and write all day. Mm-hmm. But if it's not something tangible that the community needs, you're just writing. So
it's the fact that you said community, because it's crazy how I met you guys, from actually feeding the homeless and, taking care of our community. So with that being your background, and now that you're getting into more of highlighting the young entrepreneur, the, not noticed artist, what gives you that passion to want to even highlight them when there's so much other content that you can pull from that will probably get your magazine more views?
Well, the thing about it is, it's not necessarily about getting more views. I know everybody's looking at numbers on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and to me, at the end of the day, I could buy followers, but I don't need to buy followers, because the people who are following me, I want them to genuinely be following me, whether it's for hate or love. At the end of the day, for me, this is a platform to help people develop themselves, like help people to start. And that's how I went, because I like to take people who a lot of times don't even know what they like to do. You know what I mean? Help them find something to do and promote them. Because I feel like a lot of what we do is, it becomes successful based on the level of support you get from your community, meaning your family, your friends. So if you're doing marketing and I'm not supporting you in that area, or I have the ability to support you and I'm not supporting you, just by being around you, I'm bad energy. You know what I mean? To me, when you promote someone and you see that feeling, or you get that feeling from them, that feeling of appreciation and that feeling of, oh my God, I just didn't know. Because once it's on paper, it's something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It really is. It makes you feel like, wow,
and you can go back. That's what I'm talking about.
But I want to talk about that point that you said about support. Mm-hmm. So with a lot of local artists and things like that, people that close to them, that support them, they have a tendency don't support the people that supports them. Have you experienced that in growing this magazine?
All the time.
How do you deal with it as an entrepreneur, and with you highlighting these people, knowing that they may go behind your back and probably talk about the magazine like it's nothing to them or something like that? How do you deal with that?
Well, what I've come to find out is you're only as important as you think that you are, right? And that's why a lot of people fall short, because they're so concerned about what other people think of them. I don't have to be validated by someone that I feature in the magazine, primarily because they didn't give me this. God gave me the passion to do this, right? So that feature is going to come and go. Mm-hmm. Whether they support me or not, I did my part. And my thing is, you don't get in unless you put out. So I've had numerous people that felt like they were too big to promote, the publication, or just even give us a shout out, just saying, hey, thanks. But the ones that we promote that do show us love, that defeats the ones that don't. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we're going to be promoting this. At the end of the day,
and look what page you turned to. That was crazy, right?
Really? But the thing about it is, and I tell people all the time, I know what I pray for my kids, mm-hmm. right? So At the end of the, I have my son who's incarcerated right now, and I have my daughter who's one of the most productive people I know. So when you're looking at them, you're looking at both sides of the fence. I'll promote you because the situation that my son is in right now, I wouldn't want you to be in that situation. So if you're doing something positive, why not promote you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're talking the talk, you have to walk the walk.
And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to highlight you on this podcast. Like I said in the beginning, it's all about asking your community leaders. And from the first day I met you, I always got that good vibe that you support people whether they support you or not. But one thing I want to talk about now is, the growth of the magazine. I've seen, a few issues before it got like this. And now I'm seeing you cover the Jazz in the Gardens. I see you guys posting on Instagram about the Rolling Out Loud concert. So let's talk about how did those things come about for you? How did you start leveling up?
Well, Jazz in the Gardens has always been one of my favorite, to me, Jazz in the Gardens is like that event. You know what I mean? And there's so many different things that go on at Jazz in the Gardens. I think, I encourage people to go because you can do that date night with your partner. You get to sit, you get to chill, you get to, experience different artists all at the same time. If you've never been to a concert, you go to one concert and you have all the people there. Yeah. So it's a grander event.
Okay.
In the scheme of things. As far as rolling out, the mayor actually he sealed the deal and brought Rolling Out to Miami Gardens. And Rolling Loud, sorry. Did I say Rolling Out? It was Rolling Loud. Well, shout out to Rolling Out. Rolling Out is a publication. But the thing about it is when you got people such as the mayor, he's doing so many positive things in the community. And for him to be one of the youngest mayors around, he's Black, and he wants us to win. So we have the same concept. We have the same ideals when it comes to people, because we want to see people win. When you win, I win. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's not, for me, promoting you isn't going to take away from me. Whether you support me or not, it's not going to take away. If you're doing something positive, it's my responsibility as a media media affiliate to get that information out, because he might be able to use it, she might be able to use it. So I'm going to win all the time.
So for the young entrepreneur that's aspiring to start their blog and, they probably lost of how to get started or how to get funds or anything like that, when did you actually start making money from actually your publications, people, reaching out to you and things like that?
Well, believe it or not, the publication, because it's been such a passion for me, I was pouring paychecks into that publication. I was getting ripped off because the key thing, and I tell everybody, I tell all of my friends, don't pay people to do things that you can't do for yourself, because you will never know when you're getting ripped off. You'll never know how bad you're getting ripped off. You know what I mean? So do yourself a favor, educate yourself in whatever field it is. Google is for free. Like, the information
YouTube,
is for free.
Google.
My daughter learned how to sew on YouTube. You know what I mean?
That's
so
amazing.
At the end of the day, if you're not going to take the initiative and the time to educate yourself to learn about what it is you want to do, I've gotten people in my Facebook inbox, Instagram, oh, I'm trying to do a magazine and I want you to be my mentor. So what have you done thus far? Oh, well, I haven't done anything yet, but I picked up a copy of your magazine. It looks easy, right?
Yeah. A lot of things look easy. It's not that easy, right?
Are you willing to put your entire paycheck into this? That's the thing. If you're not going to invest in yourself, don't expect other people to invest in you.
That's so true.
A lot of people say, I'm going to take an L. It's not about taking an L if you're investing in yourself.
To me, I think it's a learning lesson, especially when you're investing into yourself. You have to take those L's to learn what not to do to move forward. And like I said, I wouldn't even say that this was an L. Like, even if you started something and it didn't work out.
Oh, I've taken some L's.
It would. What would be an L that you say you take?
I've worked with graphic designers, photographers. I've worked with a slew of people who have not, that I've paid to do work, and they didn't give me their best. So it procrastinated the book from growing. And that's an L you're going to have to take. But then you become friends with those people, and then you don't want to cut them off. But eventually you have to evaluate and say, do I want to stay here or do I want to move forward? And sometimes you got to cut them off and just keep moving.
So is it hard for you to cut someone off that you have built a relationship with?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Because the thing about it is, the longer you keep them there, they'll drain you and drain you and drain you. And at the end of the day, it's not a loss for them, it's a loss for you because they've hindered your growth. And whether it's relationship, friendship, and even family, you give me if you hand me a pair of scissors, I'll cut you off.
Okay. So I want to talk about the magazine. Let's talk about, I know off air we were talking about some of the great things that's inside of the magazine. Mm-hmm. Do you want to highlight that and let people know, how do you even go about picking someone to highlight in your magazine? How does someone get on the front cover of your magazine?
The front cover is always for purchase. So we reserve the right to sell the front cover because the front cover itself is what we call the heavyweight of the publication.
Okay.
So the person on the front cover has to be able to carry the weight of everybody that's in the publication, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. They have to be interested.
So they like that draw.
Exactly. So on this particular issue, this is our latest issue where we have the mayor of Miami Gardens. He's a heavyweight. He always turned up. But then we featured Jazz in the Gardens as well. Jazz in the Gardens, of course, everybody knows Jazz. Everybody's anticipating Jazz. It's the most anticipated March 17th, 18th. Make sure you guys are there. Hard Rock Stadium, that was a plug. But the thing is, because of him, there's so many different things happening in the city of Miami Gardens that
so true.
It's mind-blowing. You know what I mean? And he's just one person. Mm-hmm. So we just did a fashion show, our third annual fashion show called The Painted Evolution, where the city of Miami Gardens and the mayor sponsored the fashion show, where we got to bring on a lot of emerging artists, hairstylists, makeup artists, so many different talents, poets, dancers, just different performers on the stage collectively so that we can raise money to sow seeds into cancer patients' lives to help them pay their bills. And all of the proceeds from the show goes to the cancer patients, which is dynamic. But in the midst of that, we just launched, my daughter, who's his personal designer, just launched a jacket and a suit collection for him called Code Switch. Okay. So this is his own personal collection. And when I tell you he rocked out on the stage, he rocked out big time.
Yeah, I seen him. I was there. I checked out the fashion show. It was dope. I loved all of the artists, some of the suit jackets that he came out with. It was like, I couldn't believe. I'm like, she stitched all of those? Like, that's crazy.
But that shows you that with him giving her the opportunity and the ability, like, just by believing in someone, it can take someone so far. Because if you go backwards from when she just started making his shirts for Jazz in the Gardens, he was kind of skeptical, but he was like, I'll give you a shot. But because he believed in her, he kind of nurtured her spirit to want to keep pushing. And that's what we have in common. And that's why I go so hard for him. People are like, oh, no, he's an awesome person in general. He loves people and he's open, he's accessible. So you have no choice but to go hard for him.
I want you to inspire someone that's actually trying to start out. What would you say besides the first place of, learning and getting things together? Once they get, they done got all of the knowledge and things like that. If they don't want to start a magazine, what piece of advice would you give an entrepreneur to actually get their thing off of the ground?
The first thing I want to encourage entrepreneurs to do is stop watching other people. There is no growth in you watching other people. I can't compare myself to you. You can't. You're better at a lot of things than I am. You understand what I'm saying? I'm better at a lot of things than the next man, but we can't compare our knowledge and we can't compare our experience. That's number one. Number two, never cheat the grind. If you're not going, like, I see a lot of people, they want credit for work that they never put in. They show up on the scene, I want to do this, and I got a degree in this, and I'm going to become this, but what have you done besides be cute? They're always on photo shoots. You know what I mean? They get t-shirts made, and all of a sudden, they're this and they're that, but how? Where did you put in the work? The third thing, don't try to take somebody else's concept and run with it. We can do the same thing, but we're never going to do it the same.
Same way.
Right?
So
you have your own unique way of doing things. I have my own unique way of doing things. But the thing about it is your finesse and your suaveness or whatever is going to win the girls over. You know what I mean? My level of aggression, my level of passion, or my drive is going to bring a certain crowd in. So you do what you do confidently, being who you are. Don't be trying to be somebody else. I can't take it. I have a lot of people who talk to me, and as marketing, you know, you go to sleep and you wake up just thinking.
Yeah.
Strategizing. I be in my sleep trying to think about.
Morning,
me too. I be like, what am I going to do next?
idea.
But the thing about it is, in my head, if you give me a concept, oh, I want to do this, I literally can throw 50 ideas at you. People don't know that comes naturally because that was instilled in us, right? A lot of times people think that they stop and they have conversations with me and they're like, and I'll throw an idea out of what I'm planning on doing. So they take that idea without the plan and then they run with it. And when it doesn't work, they come back and they come and try to talk to me to say, well, how come it didn't work? It wasn't your plan. It wasn't your idea. You know what I mean? So come up with a strategy, come up with an idea, and then just move on it. Like, don't wait for people to help you, validate you, do your homework, move on it. You might not have the finances to do it, move on it. Do something. Anything you do, small, medium, large, move on it.
Frosty, I definitely appreciate you coming through.
I appreciate you having me.
Telling me about your experiences, letting all the entrepreneurs know how they can actually get started in the magazine. And again, entrepreneurs, this is a Make It Count podcast, All Like Minds Media. We're here at the Solemn Studios.
I appreciate y'all, Frosty's FLAVA.